Good evening and welcome to our broadcast tonight. My name is Victor Muyakane and this is the Daily Report. Now, to give you an idea of what we have in store for you tonight, here are the highlights. Tonight, death toll in the Webuye accident rises to 15 as President William Ruto expresses his condolences to the families of the victims. The Kenya Pipeline Company has officially debuted on the Nairobi Securities Exchange following an oversubscribed IPO that raised approximately 106 billion shillings. And 2 petitions challenging the constitutionality of the National Infrastructure Fund Act have been filed. For the next hour or so, Catherine Simaloy and I will be taking you through what's happening across your world. And we start here. President William Ruto has sent a message of condolence following a tragic road accident that claimed multiple lives in Webuye in Bungoma County on Monday evening. According to official records from the National Transport and Safety Authority, 15 people have been confirmed dead, while 18 others sustained serious injuries and are currently receiving treatment at the Webuye District Hospital. 3 additional victims were treated and discharged. The accident occurred after a vehicle, a truck, plowed into the crowd of residents who had gathered at the scene of an earlier motorcycle crash. Stanley Nyaringita tells us more.
The family of the late Barak Chanzu is struggling to come to terms with his loss following a tragic road accident on Monday night in the Malaha area along the Webuye-Kitale Road. Chanzu was among a crowd of residents who had gathered at the scene of an earlier motorcycle accident when a trailer plowed into the crowd.
Poteza mamangu, nimepoteza mandugu zangu watatu, na nimepoteza jirani mwenye amenunua kwetu, na nimepoteza mtoto wa babangu mwingine. Watu 6, familia moja.
According to the medical superintendent at Webuye County Hospital, David Wanikina, 31 people involved in the accident were rushed to the hospital.
Ujumla tulipata watu 31 ambao walihusika katika ile ajali waliletwa hapa katika hospitali ya Webuye.
Sasa tunaomba ya kwamba serikali kama kuna uwezo wa hii barabara ama ipanuliwe, kila mtu akuwe na nafasi yake ya kupita.
In his message of condolence following the accident, President William Ruto described the incident as heartbreaking and urged motorists to exercise caution on the roads as authorities investigate the circumstances surrounding the crash. The National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, announced on Tuesday evening that it has dispatched teams to the scene to determine the cause of both the initial motorcycle collision and the subsequent trailer accident that led to the multiple fatalities, adding that all findings will inform measures to prevent similar tragedies. Stanley Nyaringita, TV 47.
In other news, the High Court has declined to suspend the newly introduced instant traffic fines management system rolled out by the NTSA. A petition filed by Kennedy Maingi Mutwiri argues that the automated system violates constitutional rights by issuing penalties without court determination. But as the legal challenge unfolds, NTSA maintains that the technology will help curb traffic violations on major highways. Our reporter Mike Kagwongo has the details.
The High Court has declined to temporarily halt the automated traffic fine system introduced by the National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA) as a constitutional petition challenging its legality proceeds. Petitioner Kennedy Maingi Mutwiri argues that the system presumes motorists guilty by issuing instant fines, whereas traffic offences under the law should be determined in court. He also claims that the automated process undermines the right to a fair trial and bypasses judicial authority. However, NTSA Director General Nation Kondiwa says the technology is designed to strengthen enforcement and improve road safety.
This brings transparency and protect both the motorists and the officers that are enforcing these rules. And this is to bring about behavioral change. Ultimately, our goal is not to punish, it's to protect. We want to change the mindsets of Kenyans road users.
The cameras can read both front and rear number plates and automatically detect violations such as speeding.
The role of technology in reducing fatalities. We want to bring some element of intelligence into enforcement. We are moving beyond physical roadblocks. We are deploying automated speed cameras.
Despite the automated system, police officers will continue to patrol the roads to support enforcement manually where necessary. Authorities says the automated enforcement is expected to improve compliance and reduce road accidents, as surveillance cameras are rolled out across major highways. Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
The Kenya Pipeline Company has debuted on the Nairobi Securities Exchange following an oversubscribed initial public offer that raised about 106 billion shillings from the sale of a 65% government stake. Now, the shares were offered at 9 shillings each, and they attracted a strong demand from both retail and institutional investors. President William Ruto presided over the ceremonial bell ringing, describing the listing as a key step in the government's plan to mobilize capital from public assets and channel it into the National Infrastructure Fund in order to support large-scale development projects.
The bell ringing at the Nairobi Securities Exchange marked the official start of trading for Kenya Pipeline Company shares, one of the largest public listings in Kenya in nearly 2 decades, after Cooperative Bank, which went public in December 2008 and is among the approved receiving banks.
The proceeds of this IPO, as well as future privatization, will provide capital to the National Infrastructure Fund, which I signed into law yesterday on Monday, February 9th, 2026. This is momentous because it marks a strategic shift in how Kenya finances development.
Treasury figures show the offer drew applications for more than 12.4 billion shares against the 11.8 billion on sale, translating to a subscription rate of about 105.7% and signaling strong investor appetite for the energy infrastructure firm.
Today, I want them to confirm whether there is such shadowy investor somewhere taking up KPC. The architecture of KPC will be still 35% GOK, about 20% by Uganda government. We have our institutional investors investing in it, about 40%, and the rest are you and I, the small Mama Mboga. So where is this shadowy investor?
President William Ruto says the proceeds from the share sale will form part of the seed capital for the National Infrastructure Fund. Hibak Said for TV 47.
Now, the Aga Khan Fund for Economic Development is selling its stake in Nation Media Group, bringing to an end a 66-year association with one of East Africa's leading media companies. The AKFED will transfer its holdings in NPRT Holdings Africa Limited, and of course this entity that controls its investments in NMG will be transferred to Taarifa Limited, a Tanzanian firm owned by businessman Rostam Aziz. Suzanne Locho with the details.
After 66 years, the Aga Khan Fund for Economic Development is exiting its investment in Nation Media Group. AKFED will sell its entire stake in NPRT Holdings Africa Limited to Tanzania-based Taarifa Limited, owned by businessman Rostam Azizi. With NPRT Holdings more than 54% of Nation Media Group, Taarifa Limited will gain a controlling interest, marking a major shift in the company's ownership. Azizi is an experienced entrepreneur with investments across media, mining, telecommunication, agriculture, and energy. The sale ends a decades-long partnership between ACFED and Nation Media Group. With new ownership on the horizon, questions remain about the company's future direction and editorial independence in the East Africa media landscape. Susan Locho for TV47, Nairobi.
The government has warned of action against health facilities that fail to provide services to teachers under the Social Health Authority's Mwalimu Comprehensive Medical Cover over claims of unpaid bills. Health CS Aiden Dwale says that the government has paid 4.1 billion shillings in arrears for October, November and December to health facilities nationwide. The payment apparently prompted the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers to call off its planned strike over unresolved SHA complaints.
So TSC will be responsible for financing, receiving, vetting.
The Ministry of Health has successfully engaged the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, regarding complaints, persistent and resolved matters with the Social Health Authority SHA medical cover that is under the Mwalimu cover, citing system failures. Duale, Misori and Mitei have reached an agreement.
The teething problems we've been having under SHA have been addressed effectively.
The management of ex gratia and last expense, which has been clarified, and also the agreement that hospitals which are contracted by SHA shall be gazetted for all the teachers.
However, we wish to categorically clarify that the Group Life Cover and the Work Injury Benefits Act, called WIBA, provisions are not administered by the Social Health Authority. So Teacher Service Commission and the Ministry of Health, we will support them. We will engage the National Treasury.
The concerns raised by KUPPET originated from 14 cases of teachers who had allegedly been detained in medical facilities for failing to clear medical bills amounting to 3.2 billion shillings.
Make use of the structures that we've established within the counties. And those structures should be able to escalate any issues to either SHA or to TSC.
Earlier in the month, KUPPET released a 7-day strike notice to the Ministry of Health if the concerns were not resolved. Cabinet Secretary Duale has also confirmed the release of 11.3 billion shillings to be paid to all health facilities in the country. For TV47, I'm Linda Alela.
And still on matters health, a report by the Auditor General has revealed serious financial loopholes within the Social Health Authority between July of 2024 and June of 2025, leading to the loss of billions of shillings through suspected fraudulent claims. However, the Health CS Aiden Dwale has dismissed the claims, while President Ruto has said that the allegations are propaganda. Elizabeth Atieno tells us more.
The report reveals that within the 9-month period, claims were overpaid by 647.5 million Kenya shillings.
Forget about the propaganda in the headline of the news that we lost, some 50 billion can be lost. You know, people are mad.
The report also flagged multiple service codes consolidated into single claim entries. The total value of these claims is 4.3 billion Kenya shillings, of which SHA approved 3.8 billion Kenya shillings. Analysis shows that consolidation resulted in overpayments totaling 1.4 billion Kenya shillings.
If we lose 50 billion, it means there will be nothing to pay, no hospital.
A total of 227 claims were approved for amounts exceeding the original claims. The approved amount was 3.9 million Kenya shillings, while the corresponding claimed amount was 1.5 million, resulting in an excess approval of 2.4 million Kenya shillings. The report reveals that 1,091 facilities submitted claims for services not authorized, with approved amounts totaling 7.3 billion Kenya shillings. The Ministry of Health states the services were 100% authorized, legally provided to teachers and public officers, and billed correctly under the Public Officers Medical Scheme Fund regulations.
Those of us in the Ministry of Health, we have agreed in principle, we are going to fight fraud.
Review of the claims data also shows that 3,235 patients received surgical services more than once within the same year. For example, one patient underwent open heart surgery 4 times in a day, with all claims approved, totaling 445.4 million Kenya shillings. Analysis further reveals that 6,392 patients had multiple child deliveries recorded within a single year. Some patients delivered 2 to 10 times during the period. The total amount approved by SHA was 148 million Kenya shillings. The report identifies 137 unauthorized facilities that submitted claims totaling 1.5 billion Kenya shillings. CS Eden Dwale says flagging these facilities as uncontracted ignores the reality that turning patients away would have been catastrophic. Claims lodged and approved under an approved service code totaled 4.8 billion Kenya shillings and 4.7 billion Kenya shillings, respectively. Elizabeth Atino, TV 47.
Folks, the death toll from the recent floods has risen to 49 people across the country. Of these, 24 deaths were reported in Nairobi County. Post-mortems were conducted today on some of the victims at City Mortuary, and meanwhile, more than 2,600 families have been displaced following the floods. Our reporter, Mudhoni Brenda, has more.
5 days after the floods struck the country, their impact is still evident. According to the National Police Service, the death toll has risen to 49. A total of 2,624 families remain displaced due to the floods, while infrastructure and property have also been damaged across various parts of the country. The effects of these floods were most evident at the City Mortuary on Wednesday, where families witnessed the post-mortems of the victims.
Rosi alitoka Friday, asubuhi akienda kazi, kutoka hapa tujui kenye kilifanyika, tumekuja kumpata huku. Tunangoja matokeo.
So far, 12 bodies have been examined, revealing that 10 died from drowning. 2 others, including Jerome Mutua, whose body was found in his car near Timol, died from electrocution.
Mtu nakwama kwa barabara na alia kutoka saa 1. Mtu anakuja kufa saa 9 usiku, hakuna usaidizi inafanyika. Alafu sasa mnasema mnatusaidia.
8 bodies remain at the City Mortuary yet to be identified. Other families who visited the mortuary said their loved ones have been missing since Friday, and a search in funeral homes has so far proven futile.
Tumemtafuta kuanzia Saturday, Sunday na Monday, leo ni Tuesday. Tukimtafuta tutujai kumpata.
These families are now calling on the government to take weather forecasts into account, stressing that the deaths of their loved ones could have been prevented.
Government walikuwa supposed kuwa na precautions. The weather was predicted already, so walikuwa najua damage itafanyika. So the question is, kwa nini hakukuwa na precautions?
Hii ya juzi town sijawahi ona kama kuna mto town yenye inaua watu ile kimo yenye niliona hiyo siku. Juma mtaro azifunguliwi zimejaa na takataka. Mtoke nje mtusaidie. Tuko na usuni wananchi wanaumia huku chini.
You cannot go Singapore like this. How can a person drown at capital city? This is not good.
These families can now lay their loved ones to rest with the dignity that they deserve, but the grief and the void left will always remain in their hearts. Many now hope that firm measures have been put into place to prevent such tragedies from happening in the future. Mudhoni Brenda for TV 47 from the City Mortuary, Nairobi.
Now, the Nairobi Rivers Commission is intensifying efforts to restore the city's river systems, reclaim riverbanks, and reduce pollution. The initiative comes in the wake of recent floods that displaced several families across river corridors. While relief efforts on support continues for the affected residents. The Commission is urging the public to work together to protect the city's waterways. Suzanne Locho has more.
Following the recent floods that affected several communities along Nairobi's river corridors, the Nairobi River Commission has intensified efforts to restore and protect the city's waterways. The Commission says reclaiming riverbanks and clearing encroached areas is part of a broader plan to reduce flooding and restore the natural flow of rivers.
We are not going to allow Nairobi River anymore to be at the back of the city, the way it has been for so many years.
Out of the 60 kilometers targeted for rehabilitation, about 20 kilometers have already been worked on.
So far, during the last visit by the president, out of the 60 kilometers that we intend to construct, we have done about 2/3 of that. About a third of that, sorry. So what is happening is that in all the area that we have enough space, we have already done the sewer line.
At the Shaurimoyo section, part of the restored river corridor has been converted into a recreational facility and a business center, transforming what was once a neglected area into a cleaner public space. Authorities have also provided relief food and aid to the families affected by the floods, and even as recovery efforts continue, residents are urged to avoid dumping waste along riverbanks, which officials say contributes to blocked waterways and increases the risk of flooding. Susan Locho for TV47, Nairobi.
Connected. Here we go. The High Court has temporarily halted planned demolitions along the Nairobi River, offering relief to thousands of traders operating in Muthurwa and Gikomba markets. The decision follows a petition filed on behalf of the affected residents. The development comes as former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua condemned what he termed as selective demolitions targeting small-scale traders in Nairobi. Take a look.
Justice Lilian Kimani has issued orders to maintain the status quo after a case was filed by traders and residents through the Embakasi East Member of Parliament and lawyer Babu Owino. They moved to court after allegedly being issued a 14-day demolition notice targeting permanent multi-story residential and commercial structures belonging to more than 3,000 members, claiming the notice was selective, unconstitutional and issued without proper consultation or provision of alternative housing.
They acquired these parcels of land from the city county of Nairobi, and then there was the use of the minutes to award allotment letters to these deserving and innocent citizens.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua criticized what he called a witch hunt, questioning why demolitions were being carried out at night and accusing the government of double standards.
These actions are not only insensitive to the economic realities facing millions of Kenyans, but also raise serious questions about fairness, consistency, and the true motives behind the enforcement exercise.
Gachagua also condemned the government's handling of economic hardships, linking the demolitions to broader governance failures, including poor disaster management. He called for an immediate halt to the demolitions and demanded a transparent review of the exercise, insisting that enforcement of planning regulations must be humane, lawful and applied uniformly.
I therefore call upon the relevant authorities to immediately halt these demolitions and subject the entire exercise to a transparent and fair review.
These sentiments come amid ongoing demolitions across various parts of Nairobi and its environs.
Families of Kenyans reportedly stranded in Russia after being recruited to fight in the war against Ukraine are now demanding urgent government intervention. Busia Senator Okia Omtata, who met with some of the affected families, has urged the government to fast-track efforts to repatriate the victims and provide clarity on their whereabouts. The senator also called for investigations into those behind the recruitment scheme, which families say duped many young Kenyans.
I also want the government itself to come clean. There's a time when the Minister for Labor, came up, the Honorable Mutua, addressed the media and said there were very many jobs in Russia they'd secured. And the Kenyans were being taken to Russia to fill those jobs, to do those jobs. We want to know, are these the jobs they took Kenyans to do? Because the silence of government and the dragging of feet over the issue is indicative of complicity in the mess. And until and unless they can clear themselves by showing us who took these Kenyans there, I personally believe that this is an aspect where the Kenyan government is complicit with the underworld and some nefarious forces to traffic in Kenyans. Otherwise, as a government of law, action should have been taken. And we are
President William Ruto has defended the political cooperation pact between the United Democratic Alliance Party, UDA, and the Orange Democratic Movement, dismissing critics he described as self-appointed supervisors of the agreement. Speaking as legislators from both sides discussed the possibility of forming a formal coalition, President Ruto said that the broad-based government remains accountable to Kenyans and is already implementing its 10-point agenda. Polo Kamau with more.
President William Ruto and ODM party leader Oburu Oginga, flanked by their broad-based allies, used the one-year anniversary of the ODM-UDA pact, signed on March 7 last year, to hit back at critics of the implementation agenda, notably Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna and Siaya Governor James Orengo, while hailing progress on the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report.
There are some people who want to appoint themselves supervisors, as if we made the commitment to them. We did not make the commitment to them. We made the commitment to the people of Kenya. And our responsibility and reporting is to the people of Kenya.
Those who thought that, who were saying that there is nothing absolutely which has been done on the 10-point agenda, shame on them. Shame on them, because you can see there is a lot which has been done and there is a lot which is still remaining to be done.
Orengo and Sifuna hit back, with Sifuna on his X account saying the final comprehensive report on the implementation of the MOU ought to have been made public on March 7, while Orengo said the MOU has already been undermined by extrajudicial killings and abductions.
There are some people who are saying that the 10-point agenda is a matter of governance which is continuous, but we are saying abductions cannot continue. Extrajudicial killings must stop now. Victims of abduction and extrajudicial killing must get their right, they must get justice and must get compensation now, not tomorrow, now.
The Agnes Zani-led Oversight Committee, whose mandate was extended by 2 months, has recommended 2 billion shillings in compensation for victims of street protests since 2017, as well as the formation of a broad-based mediation committee between the Senate and National Assembly to pass outstanding NADCO bills.
And thirdly, we need to fine-tune.
During the second joint parliamentary group meeting at KICC, the leaders agreed to form an 8-member technical committee, 4 from ODM and 4 from UDA Kenya Kwanza, to negotiate the formation of a coalition ahead of next year's elections.
The committee will develop the shared policy agenda and priorities of the 2 parties, which will inform the work of a coalition framework to be considered later in the year.
The implementation status report cites progress on electoral justice, with IBC now in place, reduction in the cost of living, economic inclusion, strengthening devolution, protection of youth, and compensation to victims of street protests starting June this year. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo. And now, on that note, we want to take a bit of a breather. And when we return, we will have more for you. Please keep it right here on the home of Untold Stories, TV47.
Don't miss the fun. Catch us every Saturday, 9 a.m. Toodles!
Si mimi nilikuwa nasema niko na kichwa kubwa nika confuse.
Lazima nibembelezwe.
I love adrenaline. Ai, aki unachoma.
Shof mingi. Natulia buda tukuoneshe.
Love in the world is something you are not ready for.
Mazee isho ni noma sana. You can't look for that. Tuambie kutoka nani kwa isho?
Si wache waone.
Your attention, please.
Good morning, Kenya. This is not just a show. It's your runway to the bold perspectives and deep conversations.
We don't just talk about the issues. We soar above the noise.
From the runway to your living room.
We are bringing the nation's top stories, hot interviews, and a smooth ride into your day.
What's up? Welcome to C4 Sunday, the ultimate gospel turn-up show.
We kick off from 7 to 8 a.m. with powerful preaching that will stir your faith.
The Bible says, arise, shine. It is not arise and shine. No.
From 8 to 9 a.m., we get to enjoy a segment that we all get to love, My Testimony.
He said he had a girl talking inside the door, like, hey!
And from 11 on the a.m., we got you covered. We bring you
My name is Diana Rose Mwangi, and I'm here to welcome you to Sifa Sunday Show. Sifa Zitande. Peace.
What are sports all about? Winning, fighting, scoring. We say they're about never giving up. The most exciting sports stories about people, their passions, and their drive. Sports Life.
In the heart of Africa, a new battle is being waged. Not with weapons, but with ideas, determination, and
Right, welcome back. If you're joining us right now, this is the Daily Report with me, Victor Muyakane, and Catherine Simaloy on Sign Language. Now, we continue with our coverage, and Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro has criticised the newly established National Infrastructure Fund, warning that it could lead to increased borrowing at a time when Kenya's public debt continues to rise. Speaking in Gaturi Ward during the opening of the Mwai Kibaki Senior School, Nyoro said that the country is already borrowing about 1.5 trillion shillings annually. He argued that instead of creating new borrowing frameworks, the government should prioritize funding critical sectors such as education.
And the fund that was launched yesterday is another way of borrowing money off the book. Hii kizugumiki tunapewa. Ati for every 1 shilling, ati Kenya wants to crowd in another 12 shillings. It is another name of saying, kwa shilingi moja, Kenya inataka ikope shilingi ingine 12. So, mimi nauliza viongozi ambao wenye wako. Nani wamewaambia Kenya inaenda pahali? Ya kwamba sasa mnataka Kenya ibebe mzigo ivujike. Kenya tunahitaji maendeleo sasa. Lakini also in posterity, tunataka hii development. Tuacha hii mambo ya kukopa sana. Kwa sababu inaharibu mambo ya uchumi wa Kenya sasa na inaharibu Kenya hata kwa miaka inakuja.
And the government has launched body-worn cameras for Kenya Revenue Authority, Customs and Border Control officers in a move aimed at strengthening accountability and transparency. Speaking during the launch at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Aviation PS Teresia Mbaika said that the devices will provide real-time documentation of events and recorded evidence during inspections and operations at border points.
At KRA, we view this not as a challenge, but as an opportunity to strengthen trust and continuously improve the way we serve citizens and businesses. Our response, therefore, has been deliberate and forward-looking, combining stronger operational systems, institutional reforms, and strategic investments in technology that enhance oversight and transparency. It is within this commitment to modern, accountable public service that we are introducing body-worn camera system, which we are commissioning here today. This initiative marks a new chapter in operational transparency and accountability in Kenya's border management.
Now, Kenyan manufacturers are calling for urgent regulatory reforms to address rising compliance costs and overlapping levies. They say this is undermining industry competitiveness. This, of course, follows the launch of a regulatory audit report for the manufacturing sector by the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, which shows that some firms are required to obtain more than 50 licenses and permits.
We've done assessment of over 14 sectors, and in each sector, you realize there is a regulator. And in every regulator, there is a cost implied in terms of what the businesses have to pay. But above that, there is what we call duplication of those licenses or duplication of the roles.
There's also been a question of whether we are over-regulated. Maybe there are regulations coming all over. I think the answer is partly yes. But, you know, the unfortunate thing is that maybe for government and sub-government institutions, they see regulation as regulation, but also as a revenue stream. But the industry perceives this as an expense. So there needs to be an equilibrium where, yes, the counties may require the funding, but also there is the optimal level at which you must not go beyond. And I sometimes would also want to concur with the industry that we may have well reached that place.
The Capital Markets Authority has signed a memorandum of understanding with AfriFund Capital to promote the use of capital market products in financing major infrastructure projects. The partnership is expected to support developments under the Lamu Port South Sudan-Ethiopia Transport Corridor, commonly known as LAPSET. The officials say that collaboration will help mobilize private capital for long-term development while expanding investment opportunities in northern Kenya. The cooperative bank, in partnership with other stakeholders, has delivered 40 Toyota Land Cruiser LC79 vehicles to the National Police Service under Phase 7 of the government's motor vehicle leasing program. The vehicles, valued at 1.9 billion shillings, were flagged off at the Toyota Kenya Academy grounds in Nairobi. The police say that the new fleet is expected to help address mobility challenges that have affected operations across the country.
This is a partnership between Cooperative Bank, Sifao Mobility, Rent-Co Africa and the National Treasury to provide the vehicles to the National Police Service.
We have the widest branch network across the country, and we are in every county in this country. So that is to say, we are where the economic activity is happening in our country. And like I've put, we rent, and rather we give asset finance and leasing to every sector in those counties, starting from government institutions, going to large corporates, to individuals, to the farmer on the ground.
VetLab's Belinda Wanjiru and Bianca Ngeshu of Muthaiga Golf Club headline Team Kenya's squad for the 2026 All-Africa Junior Team Championship, slated for March the 23rd to 26th at the Windsor Golf Hotel and Country Club. The championship will see over 100 elite junior golfers from 15 African countries compete in Kenya. Junaid Manji, Belinda Wanjiru, Sevi Soni, Kanana Mudhomi, Yuvraj Rajput, Bianca Ngeshu and Mwadhi Gisheru have been unveiled to represent Kenya at the tournament.
This is a great milestone for junior golf in Kenya. Firstly, because it confirms that Kenya now has got the structural preparedness to host big events and big junior events. And secondly, because our programs are geared at pointing our juniors towards this pathway where they can start at the grassroots level, go to the regional squad level, and then come to the national squad level, where they can then compete at an international level.
The WRC Safari Rally Kenya 2026 will take place from Thursday, March the 12th to Sunday, March the 15th, marking the 5th and final year under the current contract since the rally returned to the championship in 2021. More than 40 FIA World Rally Championship stars and their machines will tackle 20 special stages across 4 days. The drivers will take on 10 stages, run twice to reach the total. The Loldia route is the longest at 25.6 kilometers, while the Mzabibu is the shortest at 8.27 kilometers.
Haya, tuko wapi sasa?
Yako iko wapi?
And football scouts from the Western region have converged in Kisumu for a 3-day program focused on strengthening player identification and reporting. The workshop is part of the nationwide rollout of the FIFA Talent Development Scheme, implemented by the Football Kenya Federation Technical Department. Its objective is to help Kenya build a reliable, data-driven scouting network to remain competitive internationally as part of broader preparations for the 2027 FIFA Under-17 World Cup.
Don't know how. Bringing these coaches, grassroots coaches, to be introduced into the framework of talent identification and talent development is a very good beginning point for the football fraternity in this country.
From where I come from, kuna talents nyingi sana na itakuwa kitu poa sana juu tuko hapo kwa grounds, tutascout players wetu na itawasaidia kufika hapo national team. Kuna mtu hiya kuna dream ya kufika national team, but vile angefika ingekuwa noma, but through us watapata opportunity ya kwenda hapo juu Kitale ni home of talents.
Tumekuwa tukingoja for a very long time. Ukiangalia kama kwetu West Pokot tumekuwa minded for a very long time. Hakuna mtu tuone wachezaji ama tuone watoto wadogo kwa hizo kategori tumeambiwa. So if hii kitu imekam, at least naweza represent kitoka hapa, naweza rudi home ama mtaani, naweza represent watu wadogo wa huko, at least hata sauti zao zisikike, talent zao zionekane kwa national level. Unlike kitambo hakuna kitu kama ingeifanyika.
Liverpool versus Galatasaray headlines the four first-leg UEFA Champions League matches scheduled for tonight. Another blockbuster clash features Newcastle hosting Barcelona at St James Park, Tottenham facing a tough trip to Atletico Madrid under interim boss Igor Tudor, while Bayern Munich look favourites against Atalanta despite injury concerns.
I think the underdog role.
It's important to know that the Liverpool game is already ongoing, and the team that says that they will never walk alone, as currently walking alone in the the path to defeat. 1-0 right now. Let's see what happens in the second half. My name is Victor Muyakane, and I support Arsenal, for those of you who might be wondering why I'm throwing some shade at Liverpool. Good night, and God bless you.